Yeah, why don't Jewish people accept their Messiah? When I was doing campus ministry with the University Christian Fellowship, one of the campus I served at was the University of Chicago. A very high percentage of Jewish students and staff and faculty. So our university chapter really intentionally sought to reach out to Jewish students on our campus, and particularly one of our student leaders were actually a Jewish student who became a Christian during his college years. So we collaborated with the Jews for Jesus and brought a lot of materials on campus. And during that one particular year, as we made that concerted effort, we were really surprised by the level of hostility that was directed to us because we're doing this. And that particular year's experience gave us a lot of things to think about. The very question, why aren't these Jewish students responding to their own Messiah? I think there are a number of reasons, and during that year, through the conversation with a lot of our Jewish students, there are a few things that we learned from that. And I think first is there is a widespread perception, particularly among Jewish students, that Christianity over the historical periods in the past had anti-Semitic sentiments and had oppressed Jewish people. Now, we could argue about the validity of those claims, but once they have embraced that perception, it was very hard to disengage them from that. Secondly, there was a sense of a cultural pressure, if you will. We had a few Jewish students who started coming to our Bible study groups to explore the claims of Jesus. However, as their parents found out that their sons or daughters were going to these Bible study groups, they applied tremendous pressure upon these Jewish students to withdraw from those activities. And so the languages that they have used is, why are you trying to join the enemies? This sense of us and them was a very, very strongly felt one. And then, of course, among those Jewish students who are very religiously active in their Hillel house and so forth, there was a sense of spiritual pride that they are indeed chosen people of God, and that Christianity or any other form of religion, therefore, is a lesser form of religion. And that spiritual pride, I think, in many ways kept them from being open to the claims of the gospel. Now, as we know, though, salvation really is upon the work of the Holy Spirit. And so one of the things that we realized was that because these barriers are so high, and because we believe that work of the salvation is done ultimately through God's Spirit, that we began to pray even more diligently for our Jewish friends. And I'm happy to say during that year, 2 or 3 became Christian, and one later became Christian after he left undergraduate training at Chicago, and he actually became a close friend of mine, and now he's a biochemistry professor at Duke. And he recently contacted me and said even though he was not ready to hear the gospel when he was a student at Chicago, he was so thankful that we reached out to him because it piqued his interest. And that's another thing I learned about Jewish evangelism. Sometimes it takes a longer period of processing. Sometimes it takes several people to enter into that person's life. And through the proclamation of gospel and through acts of the grace of gospel, that they eventually hear the gospel and respond to it in God's grace.